Hi, this is Russ Ballard, and you're listening to the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast.
How you doing?
All right, Colin, how are you doing?
Good.
Good boy. You're looking wonderful.
Thank you. You too.
Schmoozer.
Welcome, Mr. Ballard. How are you, sir? You good?
Yeah, I feel good, thanks, Ian. Yeah, feel good. It's a bit rough here. It's a bit of a rotten day, but apart from that, everything's good.
Is it cold in the conservatory?
It's quite nice in here, actually.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's fun. Thank you for coming on and joining us. With Colin and I have just sort of covered 60 years of
It can't be that long.
Music in about.
It can't be that long. It's ridiculous.
In about an hour. Well, we tried to anyway. But it's been quite fascinating. So it's been we've touched on a couple of things that we said we'd save for when you came on. And I suppose the first thing we ought to say is about I don't believe in miracles, and maybe how that came about, because when I was fortunate enough to see you two guys getting together and doing that, not only on stage, but saw the mini rehearsal, if you want to call it that, the sound check, and the love was still there. I think you said, Russ, at the end, "You're still sounding wonderful, darling," or words to that effect.
It's not that kind of love.
No.
You're as good as ever, just like you were in '64, love. Yeah, but it is love. No, it is. I tell you, it's a long time now. But you wanted to know how the song came about.
It'd be nice to know that, but also how it came to land up with
Colin.
With Colin, really, as opposed to Argent or yourself.
Yeah. Well, I was then published by Lionel Conway at Island Music.
Yeah.
And basically, they gave us an advance to write songs, and that was it. But you're always trying to find, as Colin would know, trying to find new ideas, trying to find ideas for songs and things. I like titles.
Yeah.
So, but it's great to come up with a storyline or something like that. But I was always thinking about ideas for songs and things. And I went on holiday. I tell you what happened. I used to do my demos at Livingston Studios over at Barnet. And my friend's dad owned the studio basically at Barnet. It was called Livingston. And I used to go in with 3 songs. Ireland used to pay for all the expenses, and they would, if I needed a piano, like electric piano, Rhodes, if I needed an amp or a guitar, acoustic guitar or something, they would rent them. So it was all, they were very good for me, actually, Ireland. And I had 3 songs at that time. And one of them was I Don't Believe in Miracles. And I went on a holiday with Jan to Spain. And my friend Nick, whose dad owned the studio, Nick Kinsey, he just got married. He was 26, his wife was 28. She worked at the BBC, and she had developed some kind of cancer, and it seemed to be a very serious one. When we got back from holiday after 2 weeks, I kept thinking to myself, I must phone Nick to find out how Carol is. And as soon as I got back, I took a guitar with me on holiday. I remember putting the acoustic guitar down and phoning Nick at the studio. Nick didn't answer. A guy called Gold. His name was Gold. He had a sort of an afro hair thing. And I said, can I speak to Nick? And he said, oh, Nick's not here. Oh, Russ, haven't you heard? It's at the funeral. And she had died, and they'd had a funeral for her, if you can believe that. And I couldn't believe it. Well, anyway, Nick I said, can you get him to phone me back? And he did phone me back. And I said, anything I can do, Nick? I didn't realize. And he said, oh, would you come out for a drink? And I went up to the pub with him, his local pub, and we sat just looking at each other all night, and he was saying all the stuff you say, don't you? He was very, very, very low. And that next day, I wrote, I Don't Believe in Miracles. It shook me so much at the time. And that's how it came about. I was just writing this tune, with these chords and stuff, which I thought sounded quite kind of spiritual. And I don't know why I said I don't believe in miracles, but I did, because that's how I felt at the time. I think I was probably having a go at someone, like I don't know who it was, but I felt very low. I remember at the end of it, it's the only time, but I put my head on the keys and cried at the end of it. I just because I wrote it very, very quickly. And that's how it came about. And I recorded it, I think, about 2 weeks later. Went in, and that was one of another 3.
Wow.
That's how that came about. And then when I recorded it, I played it to Rod and Chris. I remember I didn't play it to Argent because I didn't think it would suit Argent, to be honest. But when I did play it to Rod and Chris, they said, "Oh, this would be great for Colin," and played it to Colin. That's how it came about. I still remember doing the master with Colin, Rod, Jim, Chris, Bob at number 3 at Abbey Road. I remember doing that session.
Yeah.
That day. Yeah. Remember that day.
Did you, Colin, when you recorded it, when you were doing the vocal, did you think straight away, wow, this is a hit, or this is a single? Or did it take a while?
I think that's I don't always spot singles. I've missed many, but that one, no, I thought it was really special, and I thought it stood a really good chance of being a hit. And I think it would have been a much bigger hit. I'll tell you a little story. And I told this to some promotion people at CBS, and they said this couldn't happen, but I promise you it did. I Don't Believe in Miracles was being played off the air on Radio 1, it would have been in those days at the BBC. But I'd been asked to go and do a live session. It was somewhere like Bristol or something like that. And when I got there, they asked me to do a version of I Don't Believe in Miracles. And first of all, I said, no, I can't do it. These guys weren't on the album. I don't even know if they know the song. But eventually I was talked into doing a version of I Don't Believe in Miracles with the solo band I had at the time then. They were not on the record at all. And the trouble with the Beeb in those days, they had what they called needle time. So the musicians' union was very strong, and it would only allow them to play so many records. Otherwise, they had to play live music. Often it would be orchestral music, but they had to play live music. And I promise you that with I Don't Believe in Miracles being played off the air, they started substituting my live version that I did with people that didn't really know the song that well for the record. And sales had been going really good, and Top of the Pops said it was 34 in the charts, I think. And Top of the Pops said, if it goes to 30, you'll get Top of the Pops. As they started playing this live version, sales diminished, and it went from 34 to 31. So we didn't get Top of the Pops, and then that was the end of it. It's a sad tale. If I hadn't played it live in that show, and they hadn't substituted it, I think it would have been a much bigger hit than it was.
Yeah, do you know, I have a theory. I think it was a negative title. People want to believe in miracles. I think that was the biggest.
I know people have said that, but I just think it's such a beautiful song, And the funny thing is, what sometimes makes me laugh. So it wasn't as big a hit as I hoped, or everyone hoped it was going to be. It was a big hit, but not as big as we hoped. But it's still remembered. Yeah, it's such a special, beautiful song, and I've noticed that time and time again. Bands come and go. They have a number 1, top 3 single with a trivial song, and it's forgotten in a year or two. And often the band is too. And I don't take any pleasure in that, But the kind of hit that you have is really important, as well as where it gets in the charts. Because I Don't Believe in Miracles is still fondly remembered by people all over the world, even though it wasn't the big hit that we all hoped it was going to be.
But you know what, Colin? That was Record of the Week. That was Tony Blackburn's Record of the Week.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes, that was his record of the week.
Yeah.
I
Well, it had everything going for it, you know.
Yeah,
I think it should have been a top 10 single.
yeah. But yeah, I agree.
It's funny, at Colin's solo gig the night before the Zombies and Friends gig, Russ, that you came on and did the guest spot on. If I'm not mistaken, Colin, you closed the first set with "I Don't Believe in Miracles."
I did.
Yeah, and it went down an absolute. For a kind of hold your head up as a lull. God gave rock and roll to you to be the last song. Everybody, yeah, because it's very upbeat. But that's for a kind of not an odd kind of ballad, but you know what I mean. Absolutely closed the set. Went down an absolute storm.
It
for
did.
You to then walk off at the end of part one. It really did go down well.
It's extraordinary because I've closed solo, thinking about the solo shows rather than the Zombies. And I've used "She's Not There," "Time of the Season," "Say You Don't Mind," all really big hits. And that's probably the first time I've used "I Don't Believe in Miracles" to close a set. And I was really impressed by the reaction that it got.
It's my pleasure now to introduce to you Russ Ballard. Russ just mentioned that in those heady days when Argent were playing, Russ wrote this song and he very kindly gave this song to me, and it was one of my first hits, and it's one of my favourite songs that I've ever written or recorded. No. I was trying to get a co-write, and I didn't succeed. So this song, great song, and it's called "I Don't Believe in Miracles." I'll walk along the road and past your door. Then I remember things you said. I know how time it could have been so much more. If you won't come back home, go right ahead. But I don't believe in miracles. I don't believe in miracles. But I thought you might show your face or have the grace to tell me where you are. I believe I watch again, your wall. If you threw me up, then I would fall. So you've won again, you'll win them all. I believe I'll run to you if you should call. But I don't believe in miracles. I don't believe in miracles. But I thought you might show me your face or have the grace to tell me where you are. Tell me where you are. And I believe that somewhere there, someone is gonna light the way when things go wrong. The bullet that shot me down was wrong. You're gone. The words that turned around were from your song. But I don't believe in miracles. I don't believe in miracles. But I thought you might show your face or have the grace to tell me where you are.
as I remember, I think people were all on their feet, standing up and applauding at the end of that song. So that's incredible. It's a special song, and special songs are timeless. It's as beautiful now as it was then. It's
amazing.
Yeah, it's a revered song. It's wonderful.
Amazing.
I tell you what, I always remember for a review for it. But it wasn't for that, but he mentioned this song. Charles Shaw Murray, do you remember the critic?
Oh, yeah.
He could be quite cutting.
He's certainly good, yeah.
He was quite funny. On Sounds, he reviewed my album, the album that had Since You've Been Gone on it and Winning, that Santana did. And that was 75. That was 75. It was a couple of years later, but Charles Shaw Murray reviewed it. I thought, oh, he's not reviewing this, is he? Sort of thing. And he said, I'll always, I remember his review. It was, I'll always respect Russ Ballard for writing I Don't Believe in Miracles.
Wow.
He said, but this album doesn't have much rock and roll on it.
Mm.
But he said, it doesn't have much rock and roll. And I guess he became the Moses of rock and roll when he wrote I Don't Believe in Miracles. When he wrote God Gave Rock and Roll to You.
Yeah.
Moses of rock and roll. And he said, all I can say, Russ, is keep taking the tablets. That's a great line. It's clever though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It was Moses with the tablets and all that.
Yeah,
he had the tablets, Very clever line.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, he certainly could be very aggressive in his reviews, couldn't he?
Yeah, he was,
Julie Birchall was the other one, wasn't it?
He was another one, yeah. She was.
Yeah.
God, the trouble is you only believe the bad ones.
Yeah.
Don't believe the good ones. Funny.
It's true, isn't it? I try to not read reviews now, unless if someone says to me, "Oh, there's a review," and I'll say, "Well, is it good?" before I read it. I was just doing a photo session once. I remember this, and there was a review on the back of Melody Maker. It was half a page on the back of Melody Maker. I played with my solo band at the time at the Rainbow, and so I was doing a photo session, and the photographer's assistant was reading Melody Maker, and he said, "Oh, you've got a review on the back of Melody Maker," and he gave me this review, and it was terrible. It cut me into ribbons. It was awful. Yeah. And it's interesting because in the photo session, I can show you the photos before I read the review and the photos after I read the review, and I look like a different person because I've just been slaughtered in this review, and it really affects you. That's why I try not to read them now.
Yeah, I don't want to read them. No, I don't want to. I'm not interested. Really, it could, there's no point. There was an expression years ago, Kenneth Tynan, I think he called journalists, he said that they know the way, but they can't drive the car.
Yeah, yeah.
Talking of journalists, I think it's great. If you could do it, go and do it. Let's see what you can do. But they don't.
Well, I remember someone saying to me he considered all critics were either aspiring novelists or failed musicians.
Yeah, exactly.
That's often true as well. Very few people want to be a critic or reviewer. Yeah. Some people probably do, but very few. And they end up there. And I think there's a kind of a bitterness that creeps out of them when they write these reviews.
Yeah, I guess so. So.
Well, Bob Bradbury came on the podcast a little while ago, Colin. And he was in the band called Hello, which Russ wrote a very, very famous song for, which who's called New York Groove.
I know it.
Yeah, and his other half said to me that we went through, and he was very, very quiet at first, and then he sort of opened up, and he was great fun as he always is. But she said to me that they were fed up with journalists trying to interview him to get a quote. Not normally around, Gary Glitter or something like that, so that, to look a clickbait quote really to put out there about something that's negative that's happened in the past, and so he ended up not trusting people because of that.
Well, it can happen, can't it?
Yeah, which is awful.
Actually,
really.
I think journalists and reviewers in general, I know maybe it's because I've been in the business a long time, but they just seem to be a lot kinder now. But I just think journalists have changed. They were so aggressive in the 70s.
Yeah,
and they could slaughter you, you know.
It was
and of course, it's very hard for you to defend yourself.
Yeah.
But now they do seem to be a lot kinder. But I don't know about you, Russ, but when I do an interview now, I just have a conversation. I know some people have got little, you know, topics that they want to talk about, the latest record or, you know, the next tour or something like that. I just have conversations with people. And if they want to, you know, I try to be pleasant and fair and everything. And if they want to turn that into something mean, that's up to them. I'm not going to read it anyways.
It doesn't mean anything in the end. That's the thing, Colin. You know, reviews, they don't mean anything. In the end, they don't mean anything, you know.
No.
I remember Les Miserables being absolutely slaughtered when it opened. You know, the reviews were really, really bad right the way through. It's still in the West End after 30 years, over 30 years.
That says it all, really.
That's what they know, you know.
Yeah.
So
you two. Sorry.
Going to say a song it will go where it goes. A film will go where it goes, and the record, you know, a record will go where it goes. And so it's either a hit or it's miss. So what?
Yeah.
It's a song, you know.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Well, and also once a song's written and once a record's recorded, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it's not there. You've got to concentrate. What's next? People always, when I do interviews, you know, people often want to talk about the past. That's fine. But in my mind, what I'm thinking about is what's next.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah. I still enjoy writing the song. I still enjoy it, you know, because you find different aspects of yourself when you're writing, don't you? And it often includes something about you, and you don't realize it when you're writing. It's when you look back at it, you say, God, yeah, I remember feeling like that years ago. Or, you know, it's a great form of therapy, writing. For me, it's like a sort of therapeutic sort of element there for me.
Yeah. Oh, for me too. I was just saying to Ian that I always think most of my songs have got triggers. That's what I call them. And that's the idea. And very, very often it's either something that's happened to me or someone I know. That's the trigger that gets the song going. So there's a lot of me in my songs. I'm sure there is, as you just said, a lot of you in your songs as well. And I think that's true of most writers.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of really good songs are based on some kind of truth rather than songwriting tricks. You know, you get writers who use all the right words, and often you can tell it's just a bit lightweight. It hasn't really got any oomph because it was just like doing a crossword. It hasn't come from personal experience. You can sometimes tell that with songs.
I agree.
The two of you used to. Sorry, there's a delay on these things. So I was going to say, Russ, I know the two of you and Rod used to play football together. Because Russ has told me about it many times. I was wondering what positions, relative positions, did you two play on the football pitch?
Well, I was left back in the dressing room, I think, in the changing room. When I went to my second school, I didn't want to go there because they played rugby. I loved soccer, but I haven't played soccer since I was 11. And I turned up for Russ's team, and I couldn't really remember how to play the game. I did my best, but I played rugby from 11 till probably about 20. When we were in the Zombies, I still played a little bit of rugby then, but not very much. But I hadn't played soccer in a long time. So, but as I'm left-footed, I would always try and play on the left-hand side. You know.
Well, Colin, I asked Ian to ask you a question. I might as well. Before we forget it,
it's on the list. But yes,
I'm going to ask you the question. Tell Ian and everyone listening about your Olympic potential.
Well, this might be quite a short part of the interview, actually. Well, in a local sense, I was a sprinter, So I won the, Hertfordshire. I won the Hertfordshire championship, But about the same time, we started playing in the Zombies, and maybe that was part of it. I sort of if you're going to sprint, if you're going to do sprinting at any kind of competitive level, you've got to train a bit, you know. And I started playing more music and less training.
You said, but you had all the you had the timings and everything, didn't you? You were Olympic standard. That's what Rod told me. He told me on a couple of occasions, actually.
Really?
Yeah, well, Rod told me that.
I certainly was quite fast. I'm not sure I was at Olympic standard.
No, you told me you were Olympic standard.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that because
I've seen you and I thought you were.
Well, I stopped competing when I was about 16, 17. So, I was on the right path.
Yeah,
I was on the right path, but music came along and and it took over.
Yeah,
blimey, I was already doing. I had an England trial at basketball, actually. Strangely enough, I'd never thought I was really any good at that. I'm not tall enough, apart from anything else.
Yeah,
but I was quite good at sport. But the music just took over, and there wasn't time to do it all.
Yeah, you did the right thing, Colin, didn't you?
Yeah, I think in retrospect, because I did play quite a bit of rugby, as I just said. But when I started playing senior rugby, so against men, I did start getting knocked about a bit. And I've often thought I did a full season and then I played some other games as well. But I was picking up a lot of knocks, and I thought if the Zombies hadn't gone professional, I wonder how long I would have been doing that. I don't think very long.
Well, the thing is, if you're playing rugby, if you're playing sport, you're finished. If you're lucky, if you're playing at 30 in your mid-30s, you're very lucky. Any sport.
Yeah.
But, music, we're
do it forever.
Oh, we're 10 years older than that now, aren't we?
Yeah, nearly. Yeah.
Nearly. Next birthday.
It's one of the things I don't think I realised in 1964 when we made our first record. I didn't realise that you could have a lifetime in music. I thought
anybody did, not a rock music. No.
I think most people are the same. I thought if we're lucky, we'll get 2 or 3 years of a wonderful adventure with my mates playing music I love. And then I get back to the real world after 3 years. And here we are. It's probably 60 years, isn't it?
For me, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, because you started really young.
We started young. Yeah, well, I was with Adam Faith 16. He was 22. And that was just mental. But
Colin wasn't aware that you wrote The Lost City at 14, Russ. He didn't even know you'd written that.
I didn't know
these. People didn't know.
Yeah, I wrote that and we recorded it. We recorded it actually when I was 50. We went into, I wrote it. My mum was buying all this gear. She was absolutely wonderful, and every time she said, what do you need now? Well, Mum, I've only got a 10-watt amplifier. What do you need? I need 20. Mum, I need 50-watt amplifier. What do you need now? I need an echo chamber. What do you want to Watkins tape? I said, no, I want digital and all this stuff. And she'd go and buy it for me. She was amazing, And then we went into what's the one in Denmark Street? What was it called? The studio.
Something Sound, wasn't it?
Regent Sound.
Regent Sound. Yeah.
It had all the egg boxes, for basic for soundproofing and whatever. And I went in with this echo, and I had the first wah-wah, the very first wah-wah, and it wasn't called wah-wah at the time. It was called like a sound shifter. It used to move the signal from treble to bass to treble. So they go, but it sounded really good for the time, And Hank used one on the master that they did at Abbey Road. But I played the demo to Paul Stevens, who was Cliff's brother-in-law. I knew this, Cliff's sister was called Donna, and she married a guy called Paul Stevens who had a coffee bar in Waltham Abbey. And he said, what have you been up to? I said, this is what I was with my brother. This is what we've been doing, and played him this demo. And he said, I'll send it up to the Shadows Publishing Company. That's when I was 15, or maybe 16, 15, 16. Then I joined Adam Faith, and they recorded it 4 years later. Right. Crazy. I was 18 when they recorded it. I came back from Manchester after doing a week with Adam Faith, at a cabaret club in Manchester called Mr. Smith's. My mum said a guy called Harry Walters has phoned you from the Shadows Publishing Company and he wants you to give him a call. I thought, it's got to be about that song. And it was. Yeah, he said they've recorded it already. They've done it. And they want the credits for the album. Long time ago. But it was, and I thought, oh, well, I can do it, But it was very Shadows. But Hank even used this thing, wah, 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 wah. It's great, it was.
Have the two of you worked together? I mean, I'm going back, and obviously you worked together in some of the albums, and I know Argent backed Colin in some of the albums when they were available. But I remember seeing, I thought Russ had a credit on the Plains album, Colin, somewhere along the line, on a track or two. Maybe a track.
I don't know. Maybe it's a
track called Ain't It Funny or something like that. Whether that was on there.
Did Gus Argent produce that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did some backing vocals on that.
There you go.
Yeah. I remember coming up to the studio and Gus was doing it. I remember that.
Yeah.
But it was Argent actually backed Colin.
Yeah.
It was Argent. It was Colin singing vocals on I Don't Believe in Miracles, and we did the Yabba.
All that.
I believe that somewhere there, someone, all that kind of stuff behind. It was a very nice sound. It was a very nice sound. The band together. It was.
Yeah.
It was good.
I mean, obviously, Argent became very, very successful, and I threw it for you. I was a huge fan of Argent. I said to
you, I remember you even back.
I used to buy me own tickets and come and see you and all that sort of thing. I loved the band, and so I was really thrilled when it happened for the band. But on a selfish note, it wasn't so good for me because you'd recorded fantastically on the 1 Year album, things like Caroline Goodbye. And
yeah.
He Loves the Way They Love Her. And then gradually the Argent became quite naturally less available because you were working and were around.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the way things go.
Yeah.
Good tracks though. They're really, really good tracks.
We played on one of your albums, didn't we? We played on because they love the way they love her. They love the way.
Yeah, that's the first album.
On the first
1 Year.
That was good. Yeah, that was 1 year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was done at in Soho down at.
I tell you what, She Loves the Way They Love Her was actually recorded off the King Road. It's where you did your first album.
Yeah, you're talking about Church Lane. That was Sound Techniques.
Sound Technique. It wasn't mixed at Sound Technique. We did She Loves the Way They Love Her and Misty Roses. We started them off at Sound Technique, and then we went to Abbey Road.
Ah, right, okay.
They were finished off in Abbey Road and mixed in Abbey Road.
Yeah.
And of course, Don't Believe in Miracles was recorded in Abbey Road as well, all in Studio 3.
Yeah. Dear, where's the time?
Sorry, I was just saying, I was in the audience when you came on, Russ. Karen was in the audience as well when you came on and did your spot, and a lot of the Zombies fans, it's Russ Ballard. It's like sort of you'd had a real your name and your reputation and your music resonates with the Zombies fans, etc. And two or three people said, we're saying that, and wow, could you ever see a time when the two of you could work together on stage and do the music of the Zombies, the music of Argent, the music of your solo careers individually, almost on a sort of a dual brand? I think it would sell like hotcakes. I think people would go, well, just give me your money, just like to see the two of you on stage, separately and together. Pardon?
I can see a time.
Yeah.
You said, can you see a time? I can see a time when we can only do 5 songs each, and that's 10 songs. We'll have 10 songs in a set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd be great. A bit like rock classic thing when they only do 4 or 5 songs.
Yes.
And that's it, which is very handy.
And then you do stuff together.
I'm talking about 10 years' time. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about when it's hard to do it.
10 years time. Blimey.
Oh,
Yeah, it's an interesting thought.
yeah.
B.B. King was, I think, 90, well into his 90s when he
Did he really?
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, I must admit, I want to keep touring and recording for as long as I can.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
think, when the voice starts to go, I think they say about boxers are the first to know when their legs have gone, and the last to admit it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like that as a singer. I'll know when it starts to go.
I remember Jimmy Greaves saying that about football as well, but he kept going. He kept going.
Yeah.
He loved it. He just loved to play. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Mm. Well, it's good. I mean, I thought that certainly the Zombies career was over, and I thought probably mine was coming towards an end when I got back together again with Rod. And who was expecting an extra 25 years of touring the world as we've done? So one of the really exciting things about the music business is you never know what's going to happen.
No. It's I think it's very much like that. Sometimes it's like they're meant to be. It just happens out of the blue. You struggle for this, struggle for that, then something else happens. You think, well, I didn't expect that.
I know.
Going for that, but it's like,
It's funny, isn't it? I sometimes think records have got a life of their own. I mean, Time of the Season is a great example of a record that wasn't promoted, wasn't marketed. No one saw it being a hit. And it seemed to be a hit all on its own. It had this...
Yeah, they touch a nerve, don't they?
Yeah.
A song and a performance touches a nerve.
Mm.
And the great thing about a song, it's much more than a song. It's much more than words and music. It's a memory. It's in your brain when you first hear it. And that stays with you for the rest of your life. And when you hear that song, like for me, one of them, I mean, there was Here Comes Summer by Jerry Keller. Here Comes Summer. I was about 13 or 14.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, Dream. Yeah, it makes you feel so good. But even more so was Dream Lover, Bobby Darin. It was something about that sound. I was cast back to when I was 14, 14, I think it was. Dream Lover. Dream Lover, where are you? With love also. Great tune. And it's all in here. So it's much more than just words and music. It's on the memory, what you were doing. It's the summer. It's whatever. I guess Christmas has a sort of a feeling of Christmas as well.
So for anybody watching this who doesn't know, Russ has got 2 albums coming out now. Actually, not 1, but 2 albums coming out, and has signed a great deal with Frontiers Records. And it's really exciting. I don't know whether you've got any release dates you could tell anybody about, Russ, at the moment, or
release date. I think the release is going to be pretty soon.
Okay.
We were doing videos, did 2 videos over the weekend for these first 2 tunes they want to release. So it's still a lot of fun, isn't it? It's much better than work, Colin.
Yeah. Rod always used to laugh because, I said to you that I never thought you could have a lifetime's career in music. So as we were traveling around the world, we'd be in a TV studio. I remember saying, well, what about a cameraman? I could be a cameraman. And I was doing this all the way through my life. And then probably about 5 years ago, I said to Rod, well, I think this is it, Rod. I think this is what we're going to be doing. I always thought something else was going to come along. But as you say, it's better than work. And I'm really thrilled that I've been lucky enough to have a career in music.
Yeah. Well, you've got a unique voice. There's not many. There's a few, I think, try to sound like you, but there few have that sort of influence. But you're immediately identifiable, and I love it when I hear it. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's probably a good time to bring it to a close, only because I've kept Colin for the best part of a couple of hours, and he probably needs a lie down or a gin and tonic or something.
Yes.
So.
Perhaps both. I'll have a lie down and a gin and tonic.
Don't spill it.
Very good. Very good. So, Colin, thank you very much for coming on the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast.
Oh, thanks, Ian. Thanks for having me on the show, Ian. I've really enjoyed it. And it's been
great to see you, Colin. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too. Great to have a chat, mate. Yeah. All the best.
All the best. Bye.
Right. All the best.
Thanks again, everyone. Bye.
Thanks again, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Russ Ballard, and you're listening to the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast.